I'm not gonna be the one to go and tell you to try to figure things out. I'm not that person. I can't give you guys advice based off of stuff that I don't do. Otherwise, I would just be lying. I think we can all agree that friendships are supposed to make us feel good, but sometimes I feel like they do the opposite. Toxic friendships will literally sneak up on you, and then you're so in deep that it becomes so hard to try to figure out what to do. That's where I come in. I'm gonna help you. And trust me when I say I've dealt with a few toxic friendships. First, I think we need to establish what a toxic friendship is, and I feel like people complicate it most of the time. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you think the friendship is toxic, it is probably toxic. In my opinion, a toxic friendship is any friendship that's doing more harm than good. It's literally as simple as that. So when you think about your friendships, you need to ask yourself, is this doing more harm than good? If it's doing more harm than good, then why do you want those people in your life? Does that make sense? It doesn't, but not everything's gonna make sense. So we gotta make sense of it, and then we have to figure out how we can get out of these toxic friendships. You guys are gonna stress me out with these toxic friendships. It's not every day have a toxic friendship, but I know because I be involved in those. And hey, maybe I'm a little toxic myself, but when a situation starts feeling toxic and it's messing with you, that's when you have to take control. If you still don't know if your friend is toxic or not, then they're probably not toxic. But if you need some examples, I can give you a few examples just to make it a little more clear. Here are simple ways to spot a toxic friend. This is someone who's gonna put you down. They might make harsh jokes or jokes, which really aren't jokes, it's just hidden truth. This person might be someone that's gonna stir up drama or negativity. They might wanna talk about all their friends. They might wanna gossip a lot. And I get a good gossip session. But if you're gossiping about your besties and I'm your bestie, I'm sorry, that's bringing negativity in my life because now I'm worried about what you're saying about me to your people. Does that make sense? Also, toxic people are going to be manipulative, they're going to be controlling, and a lot of the times they're going to be jealous when you spend time with other friends. Be careful of the jealous friend. Jealous friends are not your friends, and I'm going to tell you from experience because I know a lot of pretty girls are watching this. A lot of girls that have just that charisma that some people feel they don't have, and that's why they try to project things onto you. Somebody's projection is merely just a reflection of how they feel on the inside, so you can't take anything personal. But just know, if you have jealous people around you, you need to detach. Dead ass. One time I was friends with a girl who would visibly get upset whenever I would get compliments. What? That's weird. Toxic people, remove them. Sorry, I'm talking a lot of shit. I know it's easier said than done, but that's why I'm here. I'm gonna show you guys how you could do it because I am the queen of detachment. Cap. But once it's time, and everybody gotta go. But letting go of a toxic friendship is hard even when you know it's not good for you. I feel like what we struggle with the most is like the fear of being alone. And then we get into the what ifs. We start thinking, what if I don't get another friend? What if these people say this about me? What if people think this about me? No, trust me, I get it's hard. I've been through it. But it's all about shifting your perspective. Because what we really need to be asking ourselves is, what if I don't listen to my intuition? Because obviously there's something inside of me that's telling me that I need to detach from this person and I'm not listening to it. So what if I don't listen to this inner guidance that I've been given? What if we don't listen to the gut feeling that's telling us that we need to leave this situation? If you're gonna overthink it make sense because you already know what you need to do. You just need to confirm to yourself that it's the right thing that you're doing. You need to start to think about what will happen if I stay in this friendship for too long. Let's say you're removing a toxic friend because they're negative. You know they're negative. So when you start thinking about what will happen if you continue to stay in this relationship, you need to go down the list of things that might happen. If this person is someone that you perceive to be negative, and I say perceive to be negative because I don't like to view anything as positive and negative anymore. Positivity and negativity is something that we can only experience on the physical plane because outside of the physical plane, everything is one energy. I didn't need to get into all that. But you need to start going down the list. What's gonna happen if I stay around this negative person? I might pick up on similar thinking habits. I might start to become a negative person. And there's so many other things to think about, but I think the biggest thing for me and the reason why I feel it's so important to detach yourself from these toxic relationships and friendships is because the longer that we continue to put ourselves in these situations and keep around these toxic people, we start to tarnish the relationship we have with ourselves. At some point, you're gonna start resenting yourself for allowing yourself to be in this situation. And I wanna make it very clear that I don't believe that we choose to be in these friendships that are toxic. That I understand that this is a hard thing. Like, I'm just making it seem easier because I want you guys to realize what I'm really telling you. I know it's hard, but it's gonna be hard as long as you tell yourself it's hard. I just wanna say that you don't have control over what somebody else does to you. That's not in your control at all. But how you respond and how you take things is your responsibility. These are all things we have to consider when we start to doubt whether or not detaching from this person is the right thing to do. I acknowledge the fact that there's guilt and there's shame that comes with this because you feel like you're abandoning somebody, or you might feel like you're being too harsh. But what you need to understand is you can't control what people do. You can't. But at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for how you're feeling. Responsibility just means responding with ability. You have the ability to respond. You have to take control of the situation situation. So if there's a negative person in your life and you feel like they're causing you all this pain, remember that you can't control what they do to you. You can't. That's out of your control. But what you can do is figure out how you are going to respond. And that doesn't necessarily mean like you need to talk to this person. What are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to do for yourself so that you don't feel that way? Not meaning we respond to the person, but meaning we respond to our feelings and we address them and we figure out why we're feeling these certain ways. Stop dealing with outside sources. Dealing with outside sources isn't going to fix how you feel. I promise you that. Because what you're feeling is not because of them, because our perception is simply a projection of our internal state. So what is it internally that's causing us to feel this way? That's what we need to think about. Right now, we're not even talking about negative people because we can't deal with negative people. We must deal with ourselves. There's always going to be negative people. And as long as you perceive people to be negative, they're always going to be negative people. So you're always going to have these feelings and emotions. We need to figure out why we perceive these people to be negative in the first place and why their negativity bothers us. We're not setting boundaries with nobody. We're setting boundaries with ourselves. Hashtag inner healing. What do you guys know about that? What do y'all negative people know about that? Not a damn thing. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hashtag healing era. Hashtag what do you know about yourself? Not a damn thing. What you need to understand is that if something isn't inside of us, then it's not going to come up. Meaning, if this person is making you so angry because they're so negative and they have so much to say and they're bothering you, they're jealous, they're doing all these things, if that's making you feel angry, it's because you have anger inside of you. If you have an orange and something squeezes and presses down on that orange juice is gonna come out. It doesn't matter what presses on the orange. It doesn't matter if you step on it. It doesn't matter if you throw it. If there's pressure applied, juice is gonna come out. So what I'm saying is if you don't have that anger inside of you, it won't come out. Back to acknowledging the fact that you might feel guilt and shame because you feel like you're abandoning someone. I need you to ask yourself, what's worse? Feeling like you abandoned someone or feeling like you've abandoned yourself? No matter what, you have a sense of what you want. Or at the least, you have a sense of what you don't want. But when you keep on putting yourself in situations where you're going against what you know is right for you, just because it might be the easier, comfortable thing to do, you're abandoning the part of yourself that knows exactly what you want and exactly what you need. But Destiny, that's selfish. They're gonna feel like I abandoned them. What's selfish? Putting yourself first does not make you a selfish person. Doing something for someone is a selfless act, 100% every time. Every time you do something for someone, you are a selfless person for that. But doing something for yourself does not make you a selfish person. I can promise you that. And if anyone wants to think that you're being selfish, let them think that. But understand what they're saying. You're selfish because you're not putting them first. So if anyone's selfish, who is it? Is it me because I'm putting myself first? Or is it you because you expect me to put you first? Make it make sense. Moving on. So the first step of detaching from a toxic friendship is going to be recognizing the pattern. You need to be able to recognize that you're in a toxic friendship in order for you to be able to leave the friendship. So pay attention. How do you feel after you hang out with this person? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling uneasy? Are you feeling tired? Do you have a headache? Are you nauseous? Do you feel drained? Do you feel unsupported? You need to recognize the signals that your body's giving you, because if you're not able to see with your eyes, your body will let you know that something is not right. That's that gut feeling. Unfortunately, we weren't taught to recognize these signals that our body gives us. So you have to be aware of the situation before you can change it. So try journaling. I think sitting in silence and allowing yourself to process your thoughts is a good way to try to, figure out the dynamic of these friendships that you have. You can just ask yourself simple questions like, does this friendship feel balanced? Am I treated with respect and kindness? But the most important question to ask yourself is, do you feel better or worse after hanging out with this person or these people? Being able to see things clearly is gonna help you validate your feelings. The second thing you're gonna do is set some boundaries. Mind you, everybody wants to talk about setting boundaries. Nobody wants to talk about setting boundaries with yourself. You could set how many ever boundaries you want with other people, but people aren't always gonna follow your boundaries. And that is probably one of the main reasons why you're on this video right now. Stop dealing with people. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be the one to go and tell you to try to figure things out. I'm not that person. I can't give you guys advice based off of stuff that I don't do. Otherwise, I would just be lying. When I talk about boundaries, you need to set boundaries with yourself. What will you accept and what will you not accept? Once those boundaries are crossed, it's done, it's over. You need to realize that the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have, because you don't get to go anywhere without yourself. You are always gonna be here with yourself. So when I talk about setting boundaries with yourself, it's because you need to be able to trust yourself. Obviously, people are gonna do what they're gonna do, but as long as you know what you're gonna do, you'll be good. You're not worried about these people no more. And then it's gonna be really easy to detach from these people because you know yourself and you trust yourself. Once you trust yourself, you'll trust your intuition and trust the fact that if you're being told that you shouldn't be with these people, you will take that for what it is, because you have that trust. And if you're not as blunt or as direct as me, that's okay. You could gradually distance. You don't have to cut these people off just like that. If you're building up that relationship with yourself and you're understanding why you're feeling certain ways and you're understanding the patterns, it won't be hard for you to recognize why someone is projecting their reality onto you. And I say their reality because if someone is a negative person, they're a negative person because that's how they feel inwardly, so they're gonna express it outwardly. But if you're not a negative person, you're not gonna take their negativity as that. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I'm kind of spewing, but like I know what I'm talking about. And although I might not be able to articulate myself in the best way, I know you guys can feel me and I know you guys can understand me, so I'm not too worried about that. But if it's hard for you to take that big step, then just start gradually distancing yourself. Limit how often you message these people. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to decline plans. You don't have to be available at every hangout. If you're someone that, you know, doesn't really want to go through any sort of conflict that may arise, then gradually distancing yourself is going to be something that you would probably lean more towards. I think this is the fourth thing. The fourth thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to build a support system. Just because you're setting boundaries with yourself and you're working internally so that you don't have to deal with these outside sources doesn't mean that you don't need to have anyone around you. You're only taking yourself away from the people that aren't serving you in this particular time in your life. You still need to build a support system. You still want to have people around you. I'm not saying to not have any sort of community. We need community. We thrive off community. We are not in this world alone. People like to say, I was born alone, I'll die alone. You were not born alone. You were born out of somebody, with a community of people around you. So I'm not saying cut off everyone and just stay deep within yourself because that's all you have. No, you still need a support system around you. I don't care how in tune you are. Like, lock in. And step number 5 is gonna be do what Destiny would do. What would Destiny do? If Destiny's dealing with a negative person, how is Destiny gonna respond? Destiny's probably not even gonna respond to them, but I will always respond to the feelings that I feel within myself. Meaning I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna meditate, and I'm gonna figure out why I'm feeling these certain ways. I'm not gonna go to you and ask you, yo, why'd you make me feel like this? No, I'm going to my journal and I'm asking myself, why did this make me feel like this? And if someone is in my life and I don't really want them in my life, I'm probably gonna block and delete them. And that's just that. Sorry. Anyway, I'm so happy to be back and I'm just so excited to start this new journey on YouTube. I feel like I was like scared to put myself out there, but obviously like I'm discovering more parts of myself and I feel like I have a lot of advice and a lot of knowledge that I want to share with you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey. I love every single one of you guys. As always, I'll be reading every single one of your comments. I genuinely love you guys so much and I hope you guys understand what I'm saying and I hope you guys can feel my heart because I know I didn't articulate myself the best, but I feel like you guys just understand. Bye guys.